Hey Heidi, hope you can hear us
Can you
okay.
guys hear me? Oh,
Yep.
now I can hear you. Okay. I have
Hello.
my ear pods. How are you guys?
Good. It's good to
We're
see
doing
you.
all
Hello.
right.
You too. Thanks for getting me in. See if I can get this. Is that good?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
So where are
I don't use Zoom very often, so I'm like, oh God, I hope I'm doing this right.
Looks like everything's okay.
yeah, where are you at in the world? It's still kind of daylight out there.
Oh, Arizona.
Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
We are in Canada.
I know. It's
So
got to
it's
be nice and chilly there.
yes, it was dark early, cold, and lots of snow.
But that's okay. I would take the snow right now. I think that'd be nice. So how's everything else going with you guys?
Good.
It's been a lot lighter, I think, than last year anyways. Like I'm just glad 2020 is in the can.
Right? Well, I kind of figured it was a year of introspective for a lot of people. At least that's my thoughts on it. It should have been. Whether it was or not, who knows, but it should have been.
Whether you liked it or not, it was.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to get me in, so thank you.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
we are excited to meet you. Do you ever come into the chat on our channel? Have
I
we
have, yes.
thought I had seen your or felt your energy before, but it's good to finally meet you.
Mm.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. He's same here for both of y'all. Yeah, you guys, caught you live one night on one of your like mini readings type
Mhm.
of things.
Yeah. Friday night.
I knew that was you. I thought so. Okay. Well, with that, all introductions out the way, I'm going to go ahead and open the space and then we will get started on a few things. Does that sound good?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Now, is it
Just
okay if I record this, or are you guys recording this, or is there a way to record this?
was just about to say that we are recording it, and we'll send you a link when it's
Oh, awesome. Then I don't have to worry about taking notes.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
not.
we
Yeah,
got
Because
you.
I'd be like,
want to make sure you're as present as possible and everything else. You can
awesome.
watch it
Thank you.
your
That's
life.
fantastic.
It'll be up there for you indefinitely forever if you want.
All right. So just to open the space and get our energy connected and just get into those good feels, I'm just going to ask if you guys will close your eyes. We're going to open the space. We have already opened the space, but we like to do that with you as well, make you a part of that. So first, let's just start off with a deep breath through the nose, and we're just going to set the intention to get really present in the body. So take a deep breath in and let it out. Really feeling into the body, getting present and connected. If you would like, open yourself up for messages to come through. Set any internal intentions that you would like to take place in this session. I'd like to open a safe and sacred container for myself, Danny, and this beautiful soul, Heidi, in this space. Commanding any inorganic frequencies, any energies, even thought forms, beliefs that may be limiting, to step aside and allow our higher selves to guide us. Take another deep breath in through the nose. This time you're going to swallow that breath and hold the breath in your body. Just observing the sensations in the body, getting present with the body. And you can exhale whenever it feels right for you. Feeling your energy sinking around your body, allowing all obligations in this space to fade away, allowing even for a moment the stress to fade away. We can talk about things that are stressful without having to embody the emotion of stress. So we're just going to take a deep breath and setting the intention for some relief in this space, some clarity in this space. So if you'll take another deep breath in and swallow and hold it in your body, take a deep breath. Swallow. Pay attention to where that breath goes in your body. Does it seem to stop at your heart? Did the breath drop into your belly area? And don't worry if you start to feel a little lightheaded. Sometimes that's just from bringing energy to certain places that may be a little stagnant, and feel free to exhale whenever you'd like. Very good. Taking a moment to tune in to the senses. When we tune in to our senses, it gives us an elevated presence with the moment and the people that are before us. So tuning in to the sensation of sound, feeling the ears, not judging or having any bias over any sounds that your ears may picking up, just observing it all. And then softening that sensation. Moving into the sensation of smell, feeling the sensation of breath flow through your nose. Maybe feeling a little tingling as the air goes through your nostrils. Observing any smells without any bias. Observing maybe the quality of air that you're breathing in. Now just feeling into that sensation of feeling and touch. Simultaneously, there's a softened sensation of what you can hear, of smell and the breath, a sensation of the body, sensation of touch. And we're going to take one more deep breath in through the nose, swallow and hold. So take a deep breath. Swallow and see where that breath of life force energy flows in your body, and hold it there. Exhale whenever it's ready for you. And then finally, the last step, feeling the space around the body, this spherical awareness that again elevates that sensation of presence and awareness in the moment and with the people that you're around. Opening yourself up to the walls, the ceilings, and the floors, and even expanding beyond the walls, the ceilings, and the floors, and sharing a sensation of appreciation in that awareness. I would like to invite in any energies or entities, guides, and the higher self of Heidi, energies for the highest good only energies of love and light that would like to serve in this space, commanding all inorganic frequencies to step aside. And thank you to every amount of source energy that goes into guiding, loving, protecting and supporting us along our journeys. Our souls truly thank you. And thank you for this beautiful opportunity to connect with Heidi in this space. And you may open your eyes. Very good. Everybody feeling good?
Yeah.
Hey. So, Miss Heidi, what can we do for you?
Well, I am trying to get clarity for myself. And I just want to say really quick, there's a possibility that my dad may pop out or my sister may pull up. And if that happens, we're on a Zoom meeting for work. Just so you know.
Gotcha.
It's one of the reasons I'm outside. But so like we touched on it a little bit on the mini read that we did, where it was, I kind of like through really, really strange chains of events, ended up meeting this guy online, right? Just sounds really stupid, but
oh, that's how we met. So,
well, I mean, but it was just so weird. Like, so he, I was listening to some of his like podcasts, and he sounded so similar to me, you know, like, same taste of music, same, mental thoughts, you know, like people would ask him questions, he'd answer them. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it should be, you know, and it was like, something kept telling me, you should contact him. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm not contacting this guy. I don't know this guy. I don't need to, you know, that mental argument. I don't know if you guys have that, but, so then he said something about, he gamed and I game, and it was the same game. And I'm like, okay, maybe I will contact him. But I mean, this was like a mental argument with myself for like 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. And, you know, we were in daily contact for 3 weeks or so. And it was weird because it was like I could kind of feel him pulling back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But through listening to his podcast and what was going on in his life, I'm like, oh yeah, welcome to your tower moment, you know? And so I didn't know if like, maybe I was guided to meet him to try to help him a little bit with that. Or if there was more to it, you know? And so like when I talked to you guys, I want to say that was like October, maybe, question mark. And at that time I hadn't talked to him in like a week or so. And then, didn't talk to him until, because I was wanting to see if he would actually initiate a little bit so that I knew that it wasn't just in my head type of thing. And then he came on and said something about his, best friend's dad passed away, which was, I guess, just from the sounds of it, sounds like this man partially raised him, you know, because like maybe he spent a lot of time over there or something. So I was like, oh God, you know, I mean, it's just been one thing after another for this guy, you know, I'm like, my heart hurts for him. But, you know, so this time I reached out again, and then, and I would always talk to him about like, I think the last time right before that, the last time I had talked to him was, during one of the full moons or something. Cause I remember saying something to him about having 2 full moons in October, and, you know, and then a new moon, and then it was a blue moon, and, you know, just going through like I touched base on all of my little wacky stuff, like my card readings, you know, like I pulled a couple cards for him, took pictures of it, sent it to him, because we talk on Discord, not verbally talk, but type talk. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I mean, the bottom line is like, I haven't talked to him since right after his friend's dad passed.
And what was
Um,
that?
that was November,
Oh, okay.
like early November. And um, it's just one of those things that like he's still here
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why. And the only other time that I've experienced this was 12 years ago. And I was told that it was um, I was going through the dark night of the soul type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this connection that triggered it. And it's very similar to that, but like, I know it's not that. Like, I know, like when I catch myself, when I get those feelings, when like my brain is recalling 12 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, nope, 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 nope. You know, you need to get back into objective thinking because right now you're subjectively thinking. And
That's a good practice.
yeah, I mean, it's probably the only thing that's kept me sane. So basically, I'm just kind of trying to find out the whys, you know, like I have pulled cards for myself, but I think that trying to pull cards for yourself is difficult.
Yes, it is.
You
Very.
know, but I mean, they would be, it's consistent, you know, the messages were consistent and I would change how I'd ask the question, you know, like, I mean, I'm like talking to spirit in the car, like, could you just I want clear answers, you know, I want clear answers and I'm not getting them. So here I am. So it sounds crazy. It sounds stupid.
It does.
Obviously, I don't talk about it to anybody in my real life because it sounds crazy and it sounds stupid, you know, but I mean, like I've been wanting to just reach out and say hey to him, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, I don't know if he would even be receptive to that or even wants to hear from me type of thing. So does that make any sense at all? I mean,
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. That helps a lot. All right. Well, let's clear some of that shit up then. Okay.
yes, please.
Let's clear some of that shit up. And I know what that's like. Me and Danny, oh my God. Sometimes, especially in a relationship, things just get so cloudy and like there's no understanding, there's no reason for certain things. And like sometimes, you just got to go cuss spirit out and just get it out.
I know I've tried to actually look for more on your guys' story because I've heard you guys touch on it here and there um in your videos on
Mhm.
YouTube. And I was just like, you know, I mean it's really cool, first off. And
Thank you.
but I think it's a little, you know, for me it's like I don't even know this guy's name, right?
Mhm.
Because of what he does, he is very guarded.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of it has to do with because somebody who did listen to him actually found him one time, and all he would say about that was that it was a very unpleasant experience.
Mhm. Okay, so let me ask you a few questions.
Sure.
So, how willing are you if, and this is just going to direct the energy because there are many things that we can pick up on. There are many things and practices that we can give you. But are you willing to implement something in your life if we give you a practice? That's one of the first questions. Are you willing
Yeah.
to take the time for yourself to reflect if we give you kind of some self-reflective work? Are you
Homework.
willing to do something like that?
Oh
Yes?
yeah, for sure.
Okay. And another thing, a lot of the times when we do these sessions, one of the main things that Danny and I are best at is seeing the unconscious parts of people. So sometimes that means we're going to bring up things that the mind's going to say, oh no, that's not true. Oh no, that's not me. But are you open to hearing us out and maybe seeing yourself differently?
Sure.
Okay. Well, then we can work
Absolutely.
with that.
Cool.
Yeah. Like I went back after, it was funny because with the YouTube mini read, I was like, no, that's not true. No, that's not true. And then I went back and listened to it like a day or two later and I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. I mean, let's just be real here. I mean, I've done enough self-work to understand, like when I'm being in denial about something, but I'm usually probably harder on myself than I need to be. Like when I catch myself in those moments. So absolutely. I mean, 100%.
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, you get to go in denial maybe now and then watch the video over again and be like, oh shit. Okay.
Okay. So, babe, would you like to say anything? Because
Sure.
I already picked up on some stuff, but I'd like to let you.
Yeah, no, I pulled out a full spread for you, and I was really kind of get a taste of your energy and some of his as well. What's going on with him? The space that you're both in, I'm pretty sure of, is
You do have your mic
not,
on, right?
yeah, not really being able to see the whole picture between both of you, even like on his side and your side, not really seeing what's before you or having clarity on that. With the hangman in reverse, right? There's maybe some portions of your own life that you guys are both having to let go of, whether it be him and the stories of his stalker, kind of letting go of those things to really open up for and allow someone in. On your part as well, it could be past relationship things that happened that really what I'm seeing here underneath that too is the Three of Wands in reverse. So not really searching out with the Lovers in reverse, not really searching out love, but this thing happened out of nowhere kind of thing, blindsided you both, and it might not even have been at a perfect moment in time, when you were least expecting it, but you guys kind of got hit with this, and it's not really what you were looking for in the moment, but it happened.
And you know what's funny? You know what it feels like? It feels like both of you. So I'm going to be straight up. Both of you have a lot of similarities. And one of those dominant similarities is this guardedness to expressing love and guardedness to being affectionate and a guardedness to expressing those emotions, expressing like, I don't know what it is, but since I've met you, you've been on my mind. Like, could you say that?
I could say that for
Could
sure.
Heidi
I
say
mean, that's why, that's the reason I needed to schedule this.
that? Have you said that?
To him?
Mm-hmm.
Not directly. When I got him, I went out and bought him 2 bereavement cards and signed them, always in my thoughts or something like that, something to that effect. That's probably about as close as I've gotten. I mean, for sure I'm guarded because like, I don't want to scare this guy off, because I think he'd be a good friend to have, even if he wasn't interested.
Mm-hmm. I think that too.
But it's one of those things where I'm not even sure that he wants that, like he has never expressed, I have not deluded myself into thinking that he has alluded to having any sort of attraction, feelings, or anything towards me. I mean, that's never been verbally said from him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why it's driving me crazy, to be honest with you. I mean, not like on a daily crazy, but enough that I'm just like, seriously, Heidi, you need to stop thinking about this guy. You don't even know his name. I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. I mean, these are the conversations I have with myself.
So let's explore a thought real quick. So the thought of the ego, you understand the ego?
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So let's explore that thought for a second. The ego says, I can't think about this guy anymore. I can't tell him how I feel, or I don't want to tell him how I feel because I don't know if it'll be received or if it's appropriate or if this is what he wants. Okay. So we've tried that thought in that path for a little bit, right? He's still on your mind. He's still not even just in the mind, but there's emotion, there's feeling there, there's a draw, right? So, how would it feel to explore what it would be like to change that thought into, well, why don't I just give it a shot? Why don't I tell him how I feel? Without any expectation that he's going to fall in love with me, without any expectation that he's going to be my friend, but just to be honest about who I am. Because how can anyone receive me if I'm not being honest, right?
Right.
So just like exploring little things like that when that pops in your head, I feel like you're someone that self-reflects a lot, and I honestly feel like an Aquarian energy kind of
You
with
said that last time too, I think.
really, that's so
Yes.
interesting.
I'm
Like introspect.
pretty sure that's what you said was Aquarian. Yeah.
So why that's beautiful is you can pick up on the patterns of your mind by yourself, right? But where it's challenging is having the courage and the will to act differently than those beliefs, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it totally makes sense.
So with something like that, it takes practice, repetition. Sometimes we think too far ahead and we're like, well, okay, let's say I write up a message and I can't, I want to send it, but I can't send it. I just can't find the will to do it. Well, sometimes what we need to practice is asking for the will. Spirit, I ask for the will to express myself honestly. I ask for the will to step out of my comfort zone. I ask for the will to be courageous enough to just express without any expectation and just in the exploration of love, right? Because how many times do we meet love, but it's not the final love, but that doesn't make it any less significant, right? And sometimes where we get blocked is the simple fact that we're not willing to just go on the journey. It's a journey, right? People say, what's my path? Which one is my path, Spirit? What do I do?
Right.
Right. And then they acknowledge, okay, well, I've been doing it this way for so long, and that it doesn't produce a feeling of success, or there's just a lack of something's off, right? Let's just say it that simply, something's off. And then Spirit's like, well, why don't you say it? Why don't you do this? Why don't you be bold and make that first move? And then you're like, oh, I can't do that. But that's the journey that you're being called to. That's the path, right? And maybe it's not, but just being open sometimes is all that it takes.
No, it's funny because it's like, I think the last couple of weeks, I mean, I'm like, I keep telling myself, you have to remember that your journey is yours and his journey is his. So just because you're feeling, seeing, sensing something doesn't necessarily mean that's what's happening on that end also. Like, I have no doubt to a point. Like, I'm fairly certain that the reason that I feel I was led to him was to open me back up, type of thing, to get me back in touch with my sensuality, my sexuality, to feeling attractive, to wanting to feel attractive, if that makes any sense.
That's beautiful.
Like to break me back out of the shell that I had put myself in for so long. So I'm self-aware enough to be fairly confident in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the rest of it that I'm not confident about. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I will make, like, I think I have two friends in my life that even know that I own decks, right? That know that I pull cards, that even know that part of me. And I mean, I like just kind of like word vomited all over him and told him all about that. So I mean, there's a side of me that he has seen that nobody in my life has seen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the side you're talking about either, the affectionate, the
Vulnerable.
I've said right. Like I have said, I want, I'm interested in getting to know you better, like how do I get on your schedule as a joke? Because I felt like we weren't connecting, right? I'm like, how do I get on your schedule? And he's like, well, I don't know. The time difference is a big deal. And then he said something like sometimes the smaller differences are larger than the big ones or something like that. And I didn't know what that meant. So he goes, let's just play it by ear. So it wasn't like, no, right? It wasn't, he's a wordsmith. And I've told him this, he's very intelligent. And I think that is what drew me to him to begin with is he is very smart, and he'll say something like, even on his little audio things that he does, where he'll talk about, the sum is not, what's that phrase? The sum is not
greater than its parts,
greater than the whole, or something like that. Like, and I'm just like, who talks like that? But I mean, to me, it was very attractive.
Yeah, I had a few professors that dropped that line a couple times, but
yeah, I mean, it was just like, I mean, and he's considerably younger than I am. So like, I didn't know if like that comment was in reference to, like, I live in Arizona. So in July, we started talking, like, I think I reached out to him at the end of May. We started talking in June. In July, I said, hey, do you want to be my, I said, do you want to go on a virtual trip with me? And you want to be my travel buddy, because COVID. And he was like, well, where are you going? And I said, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, does it matter? Like, why do you care where I'm going? Either like, it's a yes or no question. But so I took a trip to Sedona, and he's like, well, he goes, I have to go out and do some stuff, but maybe you can set up like a little diary of the trip for me to see when I get back.
Wow.
And I didn't send him more than 3 pictures, and he started replying. So he was there, even though he was showing offline, he was there. And so I was like showing him Sedona through video and pictures. And so like, it was the first time that I revealed my audio. Like, I hear his audio all the time. And that's the other thing. When I first heard him talk, I was picking up stuff because I was doing laundry. And as soon as I heard his voice, I felt like this jolt in my body, like tingles all over my body. And the only other time I experienced that was when I was dealing, and that other guy I was telling you about sat down at my table. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Yeah. And I just stood there for a moment, because it was like, this is not normal. You know what I'm saying?
I know the first time I clicked on Brooke's video, it was like a rush of unconditional love that felt like my own kind of thing. I didn't even really have time to focus on her face or head or anything. I was just like, woof. And it was kind of overwhelming. I know I've got the Ace of Pentacles, 2 of Wands, and then the 9 of Wands. Ace of Pentacles is really, it's building trust, It's a new beginning, but in building trust and building friendship, and really I think that is huge on his part, that takes place, and things fall into place slowly and naturally, organically. It's how our relationship started as well. Releasing expectation and building a friendship, building that trust is what's I think really beneficial for both of you.
Especially for him, though, like he said, I picked up on that too. He's very apparently he has this image, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but no one ever sees the real him, just like you. You have this image, right? But there's this part of you that nobody really sees, is vulnerable. And the thing about some people and being vulnerable is that they're very sensitive. And for some people, just like with Danny, he needed more security, more connection, relationship, talking, more intimate conversations, more intimate affection, even to really feel safe with me. And that's kind of how it feels for him.
I was really hard done by, And I know there was many people or many women that kind of came with the I wouldn't even call it celebrity status, because I still like at that time I only had like 1,000 followers, so what like subscribers.
That's huge.
But to me, it was a milestone, but that was pretty much, I'm still just little old me sitting here. Right? So gaining that building that trust and friendship was huge for me.
So how do you do that, right? How do you do that? That's what we need to know. If you're willing to accept that he need to be patient with him, to relieve yourselves from expectations, how do you do that? For one, being honest, you open up too. And when he sees that you're willing to be vulnerable, you're willing to be sensitive, you're willing to be intimate, then he feels inspired to do the same thing because he feels safe, right? So that's like one way that you can kind of initiate that.
So, like, gently sharing things about yourself and opening yourself up that way. What it does is justice for your own heart. It allows yourself to be vulnerable with another person. I wrote down knowing he has a beautiful stranger to share an open and safe space with, on both of your parts as we came into, as our relationship blossomed, we started opening up and saying, and even talking about how, it's a beautiful opportunity to be vulnerable with a perfect stranger kind of thing. Because there's not that stigmata of like, okay, we went on a few dates, now we have to do this, or now that we're in a label of a relationship, now we have to act this way, and where when things open up organically through a friendship type of relationship, and not even placing a label on what or who you are, like I'd stay as far away from that as possible, because that can get you in one box, and then moving to a next box is so stigmata behind that it's like, oh my god, well, this next part is going to be, you don't want to get caught up in that. So really allowing yourself to have no expectations of what could be, and just allowing yourself and him to be, is really important. I've got the Two of Wands under that Ace of Pentacles, so it's really enjoying the journey that you're on together in whatever fashion, trying to stay out of your headspace when it comes to like, well, what did his last text mean, or how, and
Right.
Just wrote that down.
and your interpretation of that, because that really, like, my interpretation of what I think he's meaning might not be his perception of how he wanted to relay that to you, and it just causes a lot of mind fucking.
Yeah.
Right.
For nothing.
Right.
For absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and can I add to that real quick? So, Heidi, Danny is picking up on, the same things I'm picking up on. But there's one thing that I want to say to kind of allow you to relax a little bit into really hearing what he's saying, hearing it out. So, he's sharing all of this with you. You don't have to figure out how to do this, okay? That's where I'm going to come in. And I'm going to write these things down for you, and you're going to practice them yourself, right? But just kind of witness and observe and be open to what he's saying, and you can watch it back later. And then I'll help you out with how to actually integrate it, okay? So you don't have to figure anything out right now.
So at the bottom of that spread, I've got the Nine of Wands. Believe in yourself, don't give up. You know what I mean? This journey, looking at it from your side of the coin, and also in perspective of his side of the coin, it's a journey to reinstate that belief in oneself, reinstate the possibilities that that are before you, like your ability to open your heart back up and allow yourself to be vulnerable with someone that even at the click of a mouse, and then he's gone. You know what I mean? You can just whatever. There's no pull on having anything to come out of this, because it's playfulness. There's a lot of playfulness here that can be.
Flirt
Yeah, I got flirt too.
and playfulness.
Oh, you got playfulness? Okay, cool. So there you
Basically,
go.
what Spirit's saying again, just go on the journey, Heidi. You
Mhm.
want answers? Take the journey. Fucking walk it.
Mhm.
Run it. Go in circles in the journey if you want to, but just go on the journey, baby. And you will understand more once you're on the journey.
Yeah, and having expectations pushed to the side, it alleviates so much pressure on both of you. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
And that's why that push and pull is happening, right? You push a little bit, he pulls back. Push and pull, and we push and we pull a little bit, right? And it's just coming from uncertainty on both sides. So where does uncertainty come from? When we're trying to set an expectation of what to expect, trying to figure out what to expect. But if we just take the journey and we relieve ourselves of the expectations and we play and we flirt, we have heart-to-heart conversations, it's going to help us release that addiction to figure out, to plan and all that, right? Go ahead, babe. Like you wanted to say something.
So yeah, I pulled two Moonology deck, like cards from that deck, and look at the bigger picture. Expect powerful change, and the powerful change is like being more present in yourself, having more confidence in yourself, having more of a childlike playfulness, and allowing that to come out. I know when you first notice a boy, when you were young, it's like, oh, it's that feeling that you felt when you heard him. It's that feeling of like, oh, there's somebody I can play with.
He likes popsicles too.
There's
back then, right?
Yeah.
I actually told him about that too. I told him that I told him about the sensation I felt when I heard him. And I'd never experienced that before. And he was like, really? And I said, yeah. I said, 100% fact. And I said, so then because of that, it led me to want to know more about him. And, and I said, and I wasn't going to contact you until you said you played WoW. And he goes, oh, that was the clincher. I said, yeah, because I wouldn't have. And I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe I started closing up a little bit more after I sent him a video that same day of myself at Sedona. Because even though I don't know what he looks like he knows my name, he knows what I look like now. And I think maybe that is because there was no reaction, good or bad, not either way. He just remains very neutral.
And that's
and
difficult.
I told him, I said, I can usually read people pretty good. And I said, you are an enigma to me. And I said, there's times I don't like that, because if he were here, I think I would, and I was seeing him in person, I think I would be able to pick up more than I'm able to pick up the way that it was. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it makes sense, but maybe not, because I'm in a relationship with him, live with him 24/7, and I'll tell you, he's a fucking mystery to me sometimes. Legit, right? And just that kind of thinking, it's stressful, right? It's trying to figure things out again. And there's one thing I want to mention, and I know you want to say something. Real quick, though, have you ever explored why he hasn't told you his name openly, not personally, objectively? Why wouldn't he tell a person his name? Why wouldn't he open up and talk about himself? Well, then
it's totally the anonymity. I didn't personalize that. I didn't expect him to tell me things that he didn't tell anybody else. But I guess maybe there was the expectation that he would open up part of him more to me than he does anyone else.
Right. And there's still that possibility, right? So the reason I brought that up was just so why would someone do that? And we can't assume to know, right? So it's really just exploration and curiosity. There's no way to know that. That's just assuming, right? And that can't be truthful or honest. So just exploring that, maybe we can go to, well, he is in front of a lot of people. And I don't know if you know what that experience is like, but it attracts people that are not honest, that are not genuine, that do not have good intentions, that will turn his vulnerability against him. And he's already had that done, right? So then some compassion comes in and it's like, oh, I can understand that, right? And then with that compassion, it's like, oh, I'm more willing to be patient, maybe, right? It's kind of like a child that like has only known bad things to happen, like a foster kid. They've only known abandonment. They've only known they're not good enough. They've only known that they're not wanted by their parents. They're not loved. And then they go to a family where they're so loved and cherished and they don't know how to receive it. They're still afraid. And they just have to take time to like feel safe there in that space. And your responsibility in that is not for him to open up. Your responsibility is, you know, am I creating an environment that feels safe? Am I energetically pushing? Am I energetically pulling? Am I emotionally pushing? Am I emotionally pulling? You know, and just kind of exploring different ways to create a friendly environment, you know?
A safe space.
If you want to attract the dog, maybe go get a treat and put it down and walk away. Don't hold the treat in your hand and expect him to come to you, right? That's probably not gonna happen.
Especially if it's been beat.
Yes.
With a cat as well, you can't really pay much attention to it when you walk in the room.
No
for the
eye
first
contact.
time. You just do what you do, and then when it really feels the moment where it feels safe and allows itself to be vulnerable with you, it'll come to you, kind of thing. What I have with believe in yourself and what you said really kind of pinged something in me when you sent him that picture or video of you, and then there was nothing. Is there a sense of insecurity with your looks and stuff that might have come up in you that
for sure, yeah.
well, what if
No doubt about that.
what if I'm not the looker that he's looking for, or those things that come up, and really sitting with that and loving on yourself and saying, like, why would bro be in love with this? Like, I didn't really understand that at first, or even have like a connection or feeling to me. And when I was going through those things, it was like, okay, well, this is really me. This is really me self-shaming. This is really me insecure with how I look, and I look just as fucking good as the next person. And really loving on yourself and allowing yourself to be, in love with yourself. And it doesn't matter how things are perceived by others. I feel secure in myself and my security of who I am, and the form that I moved into this world is who I chose, or who my significant other out there chose, and they will accept me as I am as well. So stepping outside of that shame of like, well, he might not like who I look, is really, okay, well, it's your mind saying or assuming what he may or may not like,
And that's not very fair, right?
No, and looks, doesn't necessarily play a big part when you're in a friendship, and then over months of being in a friendship, there's an aha moment of like, oh my God, I'm in fucking love with this person. And looks, just, even if there was a look, and I know Brooke, I didn't fit in the look of who she was looking for at the fuck all. And there were months last year.
Oh my God.
Like, why? You're totally a handsome man.
My image, man, I had this perception in my head of what I thought was attractive.
Yeah.
And I had to fight that shit because it didn't match how I felt. It didn't match my heart. It was very self-absorbed. It wasn't honest. It was created in some illusion in my head. And I wasn't going to let that stop me from being in love with the person that I want to be with, you
So
know?
it can definitely be passed over as well. It took her a bit, but she got to that place, and it was an internal fight with her ego and her own perception of who she was and what she deserves, and really what she ended up with in the end. I'm not going to toot my own horn, but you know.
That's true though.
Toot,
It's almost like I took some glasses off and I could actually see him without all of these assumptions and interpretations and perceptions and God knows what
So
else.
you get to breathe now, and you can put that behind you. That it's like, okay, whatever. That's a me thing that maybe I have to maybe sit with
to deal with.
and look in front of the mirror and start really loving what I see. You know.
Well, I felt like it was after that I felt like he was starting to pull back, and I didn't know if he was pulling back because he didn't want to get close, or if he was pulling back because he wasn't attracted and could tell that I was attracted or interested even. um I mean, it was always trying to see both sides of the coin, you know what I mean? Like, well, maybe he really does like you, and that's why he's not talking to you, because he knows that if he keeps talking to you, he's going to fall in love with you, and he's not going to do that because he doesn't want a long distance relationship. I mean, like, all these things.
And all those stories can get us so fucked up. You know what I mean?
Right.
That
Yeah,
and we create that prison for
true.
ourselves, and we don't move forward regardless, and letting go of all of that shit. We don't move forward, and that really is what's at play here. Is like, okay, it's time to allow myself to explore on this journey and just have fun, right? You did mention that he's a man of neutrality or balance, right? He seems very
Yeah.
composed and
Yeah.
stuff. I do have the temperance card here in the next portion, like moving forward. um, and it's when you are friends or in any type of relationship, and relationship is, with between two people. Any interaction between two people is a relationship. Life is all about relationships. uh, when you're in that, you see there's mirroring images that happen, that start to take place right from the get-go, on what lessons do I have to learn from this interaction or that interaction, whether it be perceived as a positive interaction or a negative interaction. It
Mhm.
all have little tidbits of lessons when we stay really in tune to what's before us. And there's so much guidance to take place on your own healing and inner journey. So that forward movement is what's being asked of you, right? The Six of Swords, forward movement and travel into not only the external exploration between the two of you
Mhm.
in a beautiful friendship that's unfolding, and allowing it to unfold, not peeling back the petals of a rose to see what's in the middle, and get the full effect, but allowing it to blossom and really staying in tune. It takes a while for a rose to unfold. And if you really watch it, or you time lapse video it's a beautiful event that takes place. So being in the journey isn't really looking at what things could be. It's
Mhm.
it's allowing it to unfold naturally and enjoying what's taking place.
May I add something real
Go
quick?
ahead.
So beautifully said. Oh my God.
It was.
Jesus. So I want to you okay, if you know me and Danny, you know I gotta keep it real with you, Heidi, okay?
Well, yeah, for sure.
There's some things that just in the conscious mind knowing these things can really make the process and the journey more pleasurable, more neutral, even more balanced, right? There are ups and downs and ebbs and flows, But even through the chaos, you can find moments of peace. And even through the moments of peace, you can find moments of chaos, right? And that's just life. So, one thing that I want to mention is when Danny talks about like this, all the beautiful things he just said, I can't even say those again. But to make it really easy to understand, with vulnerability comes a few things. Sometimes when we're vulnerable, we say things that feel true to us in our mind. But then once we bring them up to the surface and we say them out loud, and we get to witness ourselves, we get to witness the cause and effect of what we've said, or even of our behavior. Sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow, and we want to beat ourselves up if it doesn't look the right way our mind tells us it should look. We want to beat ourselves up. If emotions come in that say we're stupid, oh my God, what do they think about me? I'm not good enough. I'm ugly. I'm this, I'm that, or I'm not this. I don't have that. Why would they want me? Just like all these different things. So, what I'm saying is with vulnerability also comes the courage to fuck up, man. Like, and sometimes what you see, you're not always going to like, but you can love that part of yourself. And the thing about vulnerability is people will reject you just so Heidi learns how to love Heidi and accept Heidi. And as Heidi goes on the journey of accepting herself, of loving herself, then she will see that reflected back to her, even from people that maybe when she was vulnerable and said some things, or maybe her shadow overtook her and she behaved in a way that maybe wasn't appropriate or wasn't helpful. Those moments of inappropriateness, I don't even know if that's a word, those moments of being unhelpful, those moments of feeling stupid, those moments of feeling wrong, they are the contrast that show you who Heidi is. They are the contrast that shows you your integrity, what feels right for you. So even in those moments that are unhelpful, it's actually helpful because it shows you how to be helpful in the future. Shows you what feels right to you. So if you can remember, and I'm going to put this on your soul work, that's what we like to call it, your homework. But if you can remember to be courageous enough to be vulnerable and be courageous enough to understand that it's not always going to go the way that you prefer it to, and that's okay. And don't beat yourself up about it. And it'll make the journey a lot easier. Are you willing to be vulnerable and intimate and, let's say, be rejected? Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to put yourself out there?
Yeah. I mean, I think if it gives me the answer one way or the other, yeah. Right away, probably not. I can be honest with that.
Are you going to beat Heidi up if she puts herself out there? And maybe emotions do come up where, maybe she grieves a little bit, or maybe she doesn't feel good enough, or maybe she feels stupid or silly or whatever. Are you gonna love Heidi, or are you gonna beat her up? I feel
Well,
like
and that's what, right. And I think that's what part of this connection was meant to teach me, right? Like I had been losing a little bit of weight before I met him. And then after I met him, I dropped another 25 pounds, like in a few months. I mean, it was just, but I honestly, I think it's hormone balancing, but it was just, for me, it wasn't that I thought so much that he wouldn't find me attractive on the physical. It's just that I know how much the age difference is. It's 15 years. He doesn't know how old I am. So he doesn't really know exactly what the age difference is. So I didn't know if maybe that was a deterrent type of thing. Does that make any sense?
We're 18 years apart.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never in a million years guessed that.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a baby face.
Behind all
You do.
that.
You have those cheeks that you just want to grab.
Yeah.
Both of you
Yeah,
do.
it's funny Brooke said that too, because like 2 weeks into our relationship, Brooke she pulled out the the guiding the planes in pylon thing. Okay, it's time to come this way on the down the runway, and she was guiding me to release my feelings for her,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like, wow, man, no. In my own space, I was like, I love how it's just organically unfolding, and I'm fucking. It's the first time in my life that I get to enjoy this, and I'm good. And she's like, no, no, come this way. And she was doing readings, and it was saying, no, just stay organic and stay, for me, just stay in the space. But off camera, she was, guiding me into just letting go of those feelings for me.
Now,
And
I didn't say, I know that you have feelings for me. Why don't you tell me?
oh,
It was very like objective because I was assuming, right? I couldn't know for sure. But I kept getting these intuitive hints and I was being honest with myself and I shared that with him. The rest is not my responsibility, right?
so out of that, every time I wanted to actually, sit down with her and let go, um, wasn't happening. Something's going on in her life, or there's things coming up, or whatever, or even when we're talking, the opportunity never came. And I says, you know what, fuck it. I did a 9-minute video. It's posted on the same website or the same YouTube channel that your video will be uploaded to, unlisted video. But that video is up there for the public to see. And that was my video declaring my feelings for her. And it got
Oh,
a little overboard, I think.
Oh, yeah. I thought that I knew how he felt too. Like, sure, he has some kind of feelings. Okay. I didn't realize how he felt until he told me himself.
Yeah. And, it kind of hinted on marriage, even just showing her what I see before
And you
us.
know what?
And then,
I'm the one that initiated this shit, right? Tell me how you feel. What's going on with you? Like, he tells me how he feels. Freaked me the fuck out. I'm the one that asked for it, but freaked me out. Oh my gosh, I was not ready for that. And then I had to look at myself, right?
well, I didn't hear from her a couple days after that. And I was I started beating myself up and this and that. And then,
I'm sure that was torture for sure.
oh God.
Poor thing.
And then pull myself out of it and be like, look, dude, she lives 2,000 K away and who gives a fuck? Really? You know what I mean? We never even speak again. Seriously. It was a beautiful between two souls and it's done. So
But
whatever.
you want to know the truth? I told you I'm going to keep it real. You want to know the truth? He emailed me like an 18-page email. Oh my God, annoyed the shit out of me. Like, texted me quite a bit. Emailed me a few times, emailed me a book, right? And I had told him just like, let me take some time for a little bit, right? But in his mind, I was never coming back. So like he was doing this weird
that was after
pulling behavior, right?
that was after the fact. But anyways, that was a while
So
after.
back to the thing I was talking about with vulnerability. He was being vulnerable in those messages, man. He was being vulnerable in those emails. But then when it wasn't received the way he wanted it to be received, then he had to kind of deal with that shadow work, if you will, on his own. And sometimes it stings a little bit, man, when you're so honest and authentic and then it's not received the way you prefer it to be.
Or you perceive it that it wasn't received in the way you prefer it to be,
Mm-hmm.
If you want to take it from a spiritually enlightened perspective, you can swing around that conundrum for a while, trying to look at it from different angles when just, allowing things to be and allowing things to, allowing Brooke some time to figure out what she's figuring out and allowing yourself some space to, really look at what you're spinning out in and seeing the growth that comes out of that. There's always opportunity to be had, and really conquering the the mind space and saying, look, dude, the things that I'm thinking right now, is it really being constructive to,
Is it helpful?
is it helpful for me to be mind fucking my own self, really being constructive on, what is there to pull out of all of these things that are coming up that I can heal and allow myself to further be more vulnerable instead of closing things down or shutting myself out of possibilities or whatever, right? Um, forget where this was going. I got the King of Swords in reverse with a Tower, Ten of Cups, and the Five. So really, to move forward from what this was saying is, allowing that truth to unfold in each moment. When you're exploring with each other, some things might show up and they're like, oh man, it's not too pretty. The outcome in your mind is like, oh my God, I fucked up, or I did this wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have did this.
And
Maybe
it's kind of awkward.
and yeah, like these towers that appear uh, are manufactured by our own selves, and it can really get us caught up and withhold that Ten of Cups, that loving energy, that wishes fulfilled, those things. It's withheld from us because of what we've done to ourselves.
Right. Sorry, I had a call come in. I'm like, what the hell?
That's okay. And then the Five of Pentacles under that, it's us creating hard times in our own mind space, and hurdles for us when these things aren't necessarily hurdles at all, you know?
They're just hurdles that we're creating on our own
Yeah,
that may not even exist.
right. And illusions that we make up that are holding us back from moving forward. Yet it gets again, right? And allowing those things to fall away, those insecurities to fall away with the Death card in reverse, right? Just allowing that transformation to take place and allowing that change within on your own part will move things along, in their own time, and allowing him to all this to take place on his part too. See, the things that I'm saying that may come up for you are also things that he'll see or feel on his end, and he'll make those adjustments on his own as well, right? But really staying playful, flirty, light, and then opening up yourself to being vulnerable with him and allowing him the space to, give some vulnerability as well.
But you want to know what? Even though we're talking about one person, they spark this inspiration in us, this quest of understanding, this quest of exploring, right? There's this inspiration to explore, to question things. What he's brought up within you, I kind of want to wrap it all up, right? To be honest, right? That's what the connection has reflected back to you, to be honest, to be vulnerable, right? Those are two of the main things. To let go maybe of all the mental activity and be in the present moment. Now, the funny thing about that is that doesn't just apply to this connection. And that may be the most challenging part for you, Heidi, is that this beautiful soul woke up some beautiful pieces of Heidi, but not just for him, really for you, so that you question how to be that part of you in front of him, so that you can be that part of you in front of everybody, so that Heidi can be honest about who she is in front of anybody. She doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. What other people think of you is not your responsibility. What other people think of
Your business
is none of your fucking business. Yes, I was getting there. Right? So even though we're talking about this one person, usually when something's significant, we feel that draw towards someone. What they're teaching us is not just in that direct relationship, but something that if we implement, if we practice, if we integrate, can change our lives in totality, right? Open us up to, gosh, just be who we are.
in other relationships, in your day-to-day life. These things they hold weight in all aspects of our lives. Um, the last two cards in the deck in your spread are the Ten of Pentacles and the Sun.
Wow.
Doesn't get much rosier than that.
Wow.
You know,
That's stability, Heidi. Stability, finding stability in your happiness and success.
family and prosperity. Happiness. True, allowing that happiness to take place and overtake you. That playfulness is going to help out big time. Allowing yourself to open up and be vulnerable. The more the vulnerability is expressed, the more you feel alive. The more weight comes off your shoulders. The more
True.
that someone, a perfect stranger, knows about you. Even though like whatever, at any moment, whatever, he's gone. Okay, whatever. But it allows that to come out of you, and you get to play like a child and be just carefree.
Heidi, do you know the term shadow self?
Yeah.
Understand that? Okay, so like the part of us that, maybe has the insecurities, the fears,
Right.
that kind of thing. Okay.
Right. No, I did a lot of inner work from the last connection. That connection was brutal. I mean, that connection had me on my knees, literally.
Know that feeling.
And so there was quite a bit learned from that. And so I'm still applying all of that. That's where the objective and subjective, when I use that phrase, that's where that comes from, is the work that I did from that. But I mean, I've been so close so many times to telling him what led me to him to begin with, and what has changed in my life from meeting him. And I always stop short. I'll be like, I'll like hint to it. I'll be like, yeah, and there's more, but
Yeah.
now's not the time. Like I just leave it at that. I'm like, now's not the time to share that.
And definitely don't beat yourself up over it or anything like that. And the time will come where you do finally let go of these things. And the more that you do, I'm pretty sure the more you'll see from him as well. That's that vulnerability piece. Bottom of the deck is the Two of Pentacles. So there's a bit of imbalance here that's at play. You've got the devil, so that's temptation, and the temptation is really with the Nine of Swords in reverse is releasing that anxiety or that self-fulfilling prophecy that things aren't going to work out or things aren't going to be what meet to his expectations or yours, and those when you put expectations on something, you're setting yourself up for failure. Really,
Right.
those coming through a manifestation of your own expectations. And the Two of Cups at the bottom, like as the last card, there's it's you or him holding yourself back from falling in love, holding yourself back from receiving love or giving love in some aspects of things,
And I
right?
would just like to mention, falling in love does not mean it has to be your husband, it has to be your wife.
Yeah.
If there's something that I've learned throughout my journey is that I fall in love with my friends. I fall in love with my family, with my animals, with my dog, right? We think that we can't have these intimate sensations of being in love with someone unless we're together in like this romantic union. But just being open to being in love with life. Love, you see love all around you. That's where when the ups and downs are coming, even in the chaos, there's that peace, because even in the chaos, it's just love, right?
And it's more kind of like when you were a kid on the playground and you saw that cute little boy, and wow, I want to get to know this person, right? I want to play with him. You want to see my doll? kind of energy. I pulled a few cards for him too, and it was Page of Cups and the Magician, Six of Wands, Queen of Swords, and then High Priestess. So there are spiritual aspects of this connection that definitely, on his part, he enjoys. And the Page of Cups in reverse is really, holding on to um, being more open because he doesn't really know what's before him, and the more you guys play with each other and be in a vulnerable space, the more he'll see, there's things in front of him that he can cherish and just be free to enjoy. There's nothing really at stake when it comes to his fears of what has happened in his past that's going to hurt him. It's more just like opening up and allowing himself to be. What's up?
He got some throat chakra issues. Like my whole throat, that actually kind of hurt.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you want
to? So the last thing that I want to tell you, Heidi, is you said that you were willing to do the work. You said that you're willing to look at things about yourself that maybe you hadn't noticed before. You're willing to, go on the journey, right? You're willing to do that. So if you're willing to do that, then I'm willing to, we don't usually do this in tarot readings, but I'm willing to give you some tools. I'm willing to give you some different methods of exploring the shadow, of exploring the ego, and really learning to have a relationship with the ego. The ego is not bad. The ego is not evil. The ego is not trying to take you out. It's not trying to sabotage you. The ego is literally like a child. It's innocent in its ways, meaning it only knows what it has learned and experienced. That's it. It isn't malicious in nature. It just is what it is, right?
It's just old recordings playing back at you.
Right. So it might take me a day or two just to get it in a good format, get it off this piece of fucking messy ass paper. I do have like 9 different key points of focus, and this is something that you're responsible for, implementing this practice, because know that the ego and its programming is going to come back up, is going to create disharmony in the body. It's going to throw you off balance sometimes. But the more you practice with these key points and these tools that I'm willing to give you, the more that it doesn't cause as much disharmony. And even when it does, it's just a moment. You don't have to become it. It doesn't have to become your reality, especially if you learn to just accept it as it is, right? Because it doesn't mean to do what it does, right?
Right.
So
have you guys ever read that book by Byron Katie called Loving What Is? Because I remember watching one of your guys' videos and thinking, I wonder if they've read that book. Because it's called, her name's Byron, Byron, Katie. And it's called Loving What Is.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
And it's a lot of, when you get a thought, the first thing you ask yourself, is that true? Mm-hmm. And if your mind continues to argue with you, is it really that? Is it really true? Like, do you really know that that's true? You know what I mean? And that can put me in check pretty quick, but sometimes not so much. But she's fantastic. She's a fantastic writer.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thanks for
but that. A lot of what you guys say, that's why I was like, oh my God, they must have read that book before, because it sounds like a lot of what you guys talk about.
Oh, I'm glad you heard that. That's really interesting. I'll have to check it out.
I know, and it's confirmation of like, oh, well, we're not the only ones.
Right?
Yeah, because a lot of the things that we've learned is learned through experience, and then, tapping into infinite wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Channeled messages have helped us.
And trial and error.
Yeah.
Playing with my own shadow, getting down and dirty with my own shadow. That's for sure.
the man that I worked with on from that last connection, he would always ask me, he's like, do you know why you're going through this? You know? And of course I'd be sobbing and just crying. And I'm like, no, of course I don't know why I'm going through this. And he's like, he goes, the teacher's being taught. He said, how can you teach if you haven't been through it? And I never really asked him more about that. And then on that mini read I got with you guys, the first thing you said, and that's one thing I wanted to ask you about, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, was you said you felt like I was a divine feminine, and I didn't quite understand what you meant by that. You know, and obviously I wasn't going to disclose too much because, you know, we're in a chat, we're in a live YouTube reading and there's other people around, but I didn't quite understand what you meant by that.
Okay. That's so funny that you just happened to mention that, because I did tap into your energy before, but I didn't share the messages that I got. But the one message that I got was the nurturer, right? That's what they said to me, the nurturer, which would be the divine feminine. So within, there are like there's so many different ways I can explain this, but there are two energies that kind of meet in the middle that creates balance, right? One is like a feminine energy, which is the internal self. The divine masculine energy is the expression of that internal self, right? So, and you can also look at the feminine energy as like your intuition, right? The intuitive nature of you, the nurturer. And then the divine masculine energy is the one that gets shit done in a 3D, that takes action, authoritative, right? Takes responsibility.
Divine feminine dreams of possibilities. The masculine puts it into effect.
Yes, that's a good way to look at
Okay.
it. And another way to look at it is the divine feminine is that conscious observer. The divine masculine is that conscious creator. Well, when in balance, right? But that's the goal, the neutrality, the yin and the yang, being that thin line between them both, where you can be the conscious observer. And through that conscious observation, you can be the conscious creator, right? Which that's kind of some deeper stuff. But
But I'm following you. I get it.
I feel that you really understand, so that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll be talking and I'm like, God, they probably think I'm like some alien creature or something. Like,
Oh, no. No. I mean, that's why, like, I don't even know how obviously there's, you know, things don't happen by chance, but like, I obviously just stumbled upon you guys, right? I mean, it wasn't like, I don't think you even popped up on my,
No, probably not.
on my recommends. I mean, I don't even know how I found you guys. I really don't. I don't remember, which is odd because normally I can recall some of that stuff. But I think I came across, it had to have been Brooke's page, because I remember listening to something and going, oh my God, that's what Steve taught me like years ago. Like, I could totally relate with this girl, you know, like I could be friends with this girl because she would I could like talk to her like openly, you know, like,
yes.
and she would know where I was coming from, you know, and then it was tying into you. So it was, you know, with Danny's page, and it was like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? So it was like I know that, like, I know soul connections exist, right? I mean, there's no doubt to me that occurs. Obviously there's no doubt to you guys that it occurs. You know, I don't get the whole, I mean, I'll readily say that I don't get the whole twin flame stuff.
I don't think we,
you know, what's that?
I don't think we even really get it.
Don't include me in that, because I feel like I get it.
Well,
just people might not agree with my
even,
perception of twin flames.
We've come to the place where like it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly it, right? Because to me, if you're right, but when you're, what I'm seeing, what I'm observing is when people put so much, like the twin flame, when I was going through this last connection, 12 years ago, there was a message board for twin flames. And I remember talking to Steve about it. And I said, I couldn't even read that forum for more than 5 minutes without feeling like my energy was just completely discombobulated. Like it was just everywhere. And it was only because I felt like people were putting so much emphasis on the title, right? So like, if it's not your twin flame, a soul connection isn't going to be good enough, type of thing. And to me, you know, whatever they decide or whatever we agree to in a soul contract before we came onto this earth to experience, they didn't put a title on it when they sent us here.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I've talked about that in my videos, because that's why I hesitate to use the twin flame label, because there's all of these belief systems that just like cloud it, you know?
Yeah.
It
Just they latch onto that, and it's just so.
There's an obsession period where we get so caught up in it that it has to be this, you know, and really that clouding is what I think we're here to kind of straighten out.
And I've told my subscribers over and over and over and over again, does it matter if, right? Fuck a twin flame label. Just because you want to identify somebody as a twin flame or a soulmate does not mean that they are better or worse than the other. That's the one that really ticks me off. Or they're like, oh, it's just a soulmate. Like, bitch.
I know. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. I feel the exact same way. I feel the exact, because I'm like, they're like, oh, well, no, it's a soul connection. And there's definitely karma tied to that. I'm like, do you even know what the fuck you're talking about? Because really?
That's soul came
it's the karmic. Well, how do you know you're not the karmic?
Right.
If they're the one that's married, how are you not the karmic?
Yeah.
Like, there's this, it's the way their minds work around it that it just kind of, I'm just kind of like, oh, no. I would much rather take a connection that I have no problems with, you know, than to deal with a connection like I dealt with 12 years ago that was, you know, like, it was the push and pull. It was the runner and the chaser. I mean, and that's exactly the phrases that Steve used in explaining it to me. He goes, when you say something, he goes, what do you think he's going to do? And I go, I don't know. And he goes, bullshit. You know exactly what he's going to do. What's he going to do? And I said, he'll be back. And he goes, he will always be back. He still comes into my work every now and then to this day. But it was always the, nope, I don't think this can work. We can't be together, you know, type of thing. But anyway, I mean.
And it taught you some shit.
So with what you just said, if you haven't, I got to make a suggestion since you said it. If you haven't watched my video that I did that talks about conscious relationships, and it says push and pull dynamics explained, runner chaser, I feel like you would really enjoy that video, because I feel like we think a lot alike. So
yeah, because I wondered, I'm like, you said that you, like, when you talk about your guys' connection, you say you refer to yourself as the divine masculine energy. Is that because you run more divine masculinity in just your day-to-day life?
Yes. So
like, I run more from that side as well, just because of how I was brought up with responsibilities and stuff.
And sometimes it also has to do with our way of processing emotion, right? If we're dominantly someone that when emotion comes up, we would rather kind of run away from that emotion. That's more of a masculine approach, rather than a feminine is going to be like the one that's like, well, why am I feeling this way? What is this coming from? Let's talk about it, right? That's kind of the feminine's approach. Let me observe it. Like, you know what I mean? The questioner. The masculine is just going to be like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm kind of
like this. I'm out.
Right. Exactly. But yeah.
Okay.
Fun. I enjoyed.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I asked that before we ended the call. So thank you, because I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, that was like one of the first things you said to me on that mini read. And
so here's the thing about that. Okay.
The organic was what Danny talked about in the mini read too, that he repeated again to me today. So I mean, it's obviously a message.
So here's the thing.
I don't even remember the read. But
I'm gonna let you in on a secret just because this conversation is fun. So when it comes to the whole she's a divine feminine or she's a divine masculine, that's actually distorted. That's not really true. You can't be a feminine or a masculine.
No, because we run both, right?
So when someone is identified as, oh, they're definitely a masculine energy, usually that's because they feel safer in their masculine energy and they suppress their feminine energy. So at that time, what I'm picking up now is when I approached you as a divine feminine, either that divine feminine energy was maybe either being suppressed or that divine feminine energy was being explored at that time. It was the dominant energy, right? Not that you are a divine feminine, but at that moment in time, you are embodying more of a feminine approach to life, if you will.
It was the energies behind it. The like
Mhm.
That
even
makes total sense.
even with us, okay, she sees herself more in the divine masculine energy, and me in the divine feminine. And then September came along last year, and all of a sudden we wake up one day and it's flipped.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
And still there,
It's
but
not looking like it was so much fun for him.
I mean,
At first. It wasn't at first.
I'm still getting used to it, and it. I think the struggle that I make it out to be is really me getting my own way
Mm-hmm.
and not allowing myself to fully embody the divine masculine and express myself in that way. And
Yeah,
stuff.
and it was challenging for me too to be in the feminine role because
Oh,
I
shit.
I mean, I was addicted to pain pills. That was a distorted divine masculine energy. I'm going to run, I'm going to run, I'm going to run, I'm going to run, right? So when I got put in my feminine energy and I had already kind of chosen I'm not going to run away from myself anymore. So being in that feminine energy was challenging for me because I no longer could use my abusive coping skills. I had to find healthy ways of approaching myself without just running away or covering it with some kind of distraction, you know?
Right. So maybe the connection between the two of you was to get you guys to experience the other side, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even like right from the get-go, it was your divine masculine in a female form to come into balance with the feminine, right?
Which is
And
really helpful for me. If I'm like overly, my soul, if you will, has had many experiences of this distorted masculine energy. Why it's helpful to use a female vessel is because this is a dominant feminine energy, right? It is. There's no denying that. So when you put a dominant feminine body with a dominantly masculine soul blueprint, if you will, then it's a little maybe, and this is not might not be true, but maybe it's a little easier to navigate. Maybe.
well, it really puts you in a space where, look, this is what you got to do, and here you go. The tools are in front of you. you know,
Right.
you're going to experience the physical form of a female to really catch a grasp and help you get into that balance, so that you can embody both and move forward, like transcend and move forward. Same with vice versa for me as well. Like, man, being dominantly feminine with a dick is it's pretty interesting. You know
But I think that that's, I mean, I think that that's true though, right? Because like for me, like I said, it got me back in touch with my sensuality, my sexuality, my feminism,
Yes.
wanting to walk out the door and look good and feel good and, you know, strut my stuff a little bit. You know
Ooh.
what I'm saying?
So I gotta tell you something. You keep saying shit keeps coming in. Oh, you know what I said? I mentioned you are that dominantly divine feminine energy. So let me show you how this works. So if you're embodying this dominant feminine energy, and you remember in your reading tonight, there was that lack of expressing how you feel, lack of showing the world the real you. That's all masculine energy, right? So right now, your feminine seems a little bit more balanced than the masculine, because the masculine takes the inner self and expresses it, right? So maybe you can play with that, explore with that a little bit.
Yeah. No, that makes complete sense to me. That makes complete sense. See, I told you we could be like friends, because
Yes,
I
this
mean, we
is
could
so
just sit and
much
shoot
fun.
shit. But I mean, and how awesome for you guys to be in a relationship with somebody else that's consciously aware,
Wow.
you know, because it's so different when you're with somebody and you're like, they look at you like, you know, you're freaking crazy,
Oh, girl,
because you're talking about energy and you're talking about this and that.
It still feels that way sometimes, because I see things that he can't see, and then he sees things that I can't fucking see, and then we're having an argument, a spiritual fucking argument,
I don't know if you ever
trying to find all the right words so we don't offend or take anything personal. Oh my god!
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's great.
Remember the good old days where, you know what, I just hurt your fucking feelings. And I'm out. You know?
I'm sensing that you're in a bad mood today.
Oh.
Oh no, I'm fine. Well, what is this energy that I feel? Oh, it's not me.
I just got up and I'm pouring a fucking coffee. Like, Jesus Christ, can I have a sip first? I don't wake up till my second cup.
Like, can I wake up before you start hitting me with all this stuff?
Right. Yes.
Oh, that's too funny. I love it. That's hysterical.
Oh, it's real shit. You know us, we like to keep it real.
Right? Be like, honey, just give me 10. You know, just give me 10.
But the pattern of your ego is you always give an excuse to not talk about things right now.
Yeah, it's an excuse. Oh, is that an excuse, or you what? Or are
Is
you
that
going
coming
in,
from the ego?
Is that a story that your ego is telling you that?
Oh my God.
Fuck.
Like, no, it's my brain telling you I'm not fucking awake yet.
Yeah.
Oh God.
The joys of consciousness.
Oh my God. Oh, I've thoroughly enjoyed being able to speak to you guys. So thank you.
Oh, you're so
Yeah.
welcome.
It helps me to know whether or not if I should even be attempting contact, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, explore it, right? And just curiosity.
Have fun. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will send you an email, maybe within a day or two, maybe 3 days. Just,
Don't
No hurry.
Danny picks on me about this, but I do like things to be a certain way so that they're easy to apply. So it might take.
I'm the same way. I get it.
See, she can appreciate it, baby.
I get it.
Thanks for helping
Like,
me.
you got to put everything in order so that it's understandable. You know, there's no
Right.
questions.
Yes.
I get it.
Yes, we can be friends, Heidi. Yes.
Yeah, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to further explore the website and how to
Oh my God, the
figure
website.
that shit out. Because, you know, it's nice to just have the cash to go and get somebody else to do it, and then everything works. And then when it doesn't work, you got someone to blame.
Right.
You were able to get it straightened out, though?
I got to certain things straightened out, and it opened up other avenues. Like, I'm like, oh, so this is here too, and I can fix this, and you know what I mean? It's
Another job.
Excellent.
just another.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you don't know until you know, right? I mean,
Well,
you don't know it's
even pricing. It would be amazing if you just put a price in and then it all changed on everything. But oh my God.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
well. I mean, if you need an outside tester, just let me know. I mean, I don't know if it gives you the opportunity to be able to do an internal test to see like where the link leads you and whatnot.
Yeah, I've got to go to the front end to try what I've done in the back end to make sure that it's
That could almost sound a little kinky. I'm just saying.
It did.
That's how I roll.
Is there any other way though? I mean, I'm just saying.
Right.
Everything boils down to
can't
sex
believe she
anyway.
said that.
So, you know.
I'm sorry. Was that inappropriate?
No, that was
No,
wonderful. We loved it. But I am going to close the container thanking every amount of source energy that went into making the session possible, disconnecting any energetic cords that may have been established during this session, and declaring our sovereignty upon ourselves for the highest good of us individually and as one. And with that being said, we wish you well. It was so much fun talking to you. I hope that we
It
see
was.
you again soon. And
I
just,
really enjoyed it
we
a
love
lot.
you.
Both of you. Love you guys. Thank you.
You enjoy the journey.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted.
All
One
right.
or the other. If
Bye.
it's not this journey, it'll be another one.
Right?
They don't stop. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
You're
I'll talk to
welcome.
you later.
See you
Love
later.
you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.